I was thinking about the Kaladesh pre-release today as it inches closer to us, and I thought to myself, man, there are some mistakes that I imagine are going to be seen a lot. So today we're going to go over the top 3 mistakes that will be most done at the Kaladesh pre-release. The first mistake has nothing to do with Kaladesh and everything to do with pre-releases, and that is you need to read your cards. Most people don't read their cards that much. Eternal players, never read their cards. Here, let's interview an Eternal player. Alright, Eternal player, what does this art mean?
That's Path to Exile, duh. 1 white, exile target creature. Its controller may search his or her library for a basic land card, put it into play tapped, and then shuffle their library.
Okay, Legacy player, what does this card do?
That's Brainstorm, duh, for 1 blue, instant. Draw 3 cards, put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order.
Okay, Commander player, what does this card do?
Don't put that art in my face until you reprint it.
So the first tip is to read your cards. Read them when you're deck building. Read them as you draw them. Read them before you start tapping your mana to cast them. Our next tip is about fabricate. Now, when people fabricate, I think a decent amount of people will say to themselves, I love big creatures, everyone loves big creatures, so when I fabricate, I'm going to make my creature bigger and it's going to do better in combat. The truth of the matter is that choosing the +1/+1 counter is going to be the exception rather than the rule. If you have a plan for a creature of that particular size to do a combat trick, get certain things done, then sure, you can fabricate, add your +1/+1 counter. But the majority of the time, you're going to want to make the 1/1 servo. 1/1 servos can do a lot of things. They can hold equipment, they can crew vehicles, they can be chump blockers. There's a lot of things that you can do with servos. There's a lot less that you can do with a +1/+1 counter on a creature that you already have. The last mistake that people are going to make is putting too many vehicles in your deck. Now, what happens if you draw too many vehicles? Well, if you don't have enough things to crew them, then, they're basically just sitting there completely useless. If you do have enough things to crew them, but you have a lot of vehicles, then your creatures are always completely tapping down in order to use your vehicles. And this makes your board state really weak and vulnerable. If you have 1 creature and 1 vehicle, then 1 removal spell is killing a lot of stuff. It's really hurting you. So when you're building your deck, you probably only want to put maybe your best 3 vehicles in there or so. You don't want to have a bunch of them. There is a slight exception to the vehicle mistake, and that's vehicles that only have a crew cost of 1. And that is because if you have a decent amount of fabricate stuff going on in your deck, then you can use the servos in order to power up those vehicles, and that's really convenient. Alright, well that's it for my very quick tips on mistakes that you might make at the pre-release. If you think it's going to help you out, feel free to hit that like button. If you'd like to see more content, feel free to hit that subscribe button because it's coming out all the time. As always, I'll see you next video.